Hi, I'm Carol Baskin, and this is Cat Chat 34. This morning with us is Robin Greenwood, and she is are you the CEO or ED of Elmira's Wildlife Sanctuary?
Pretty much everything. President, I guess my official title, I suppose, was president, but I really function as more of the CEO and probably the executive director and a few other things. Just kind of, it's the founder thing, you know. But someday I won't have to be the founder and everything else. But right now, I guess I'm the fearless leader.
Well, I think you'll always be the founder, whether or
Yeah,
not
we are. Yeah.
CEOs, that's a whole different matter.
Yes. Ain't that the truth? So.
Well, tell everybody here about how Elmira's got started.
Well, back in the day, in the early 90s, my husband and his best friend who owned some property, they had, for various reasons, acquired some exotic animals. Well, then some private owners could no longer take care of them, so they agreed to take them in, and it just kind of mushroomed from there. Some other people had excess, and then, of course, there's the ones from the pet trade, since the pet trade, of course, has been going on forever, that they acquired some from the pet trade. And then as the laws changed here in Florida, we decided to go ahead and, all right, let's just make this a nonprofit wildlife sanctuary, since that's basically what we're doing is rescuing animals anyway. And shortly after we did that, of course, my husband passed away, Ted. And then shortly after that, the property owner passed away, and the family decided that they did not want us on their property anymore. So we found a spot down in Wimauma South and just packed up the animals and moved them there, found a great guy that leased us the property, and then 8 months later did our first big rescue. And we've just been kind of moving forward ever since. If we can rescue an animal, we will, but like everybody else, if we can't, we can't because we don't have space. So we've just been kind of growing ever since then, not so much animal-wise, but space-wise, and we managed to finally purchase our own property, and now we've purchased additional property, and so and we just kind of want to, do the mission. The mission is basically to provide the animals a home forever, and to not exploit them, and also to educate the public on the needs and the plight of all of these animals, big cats as well as bears and little animals too. There's a huge problem apparently with parrot rescue these days. So
Yeah.
it's that's kind of how we ended up with all of this.
Wow.
But
Were
it's
you
worth
one of
it.
the kids that dragged home every stray dog and cat as a child, or was this something that happened later in your life?
This happened later in life. I got to admit, running a wildlife sanctuary wasn't on my goal list. I was an IT person for more years than I care to count, and but yeah, between Ted and I, we were working. Oh well, okay, we can take care of it, and da 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 da. And then the next thing you knew, we had a house full of critters out here in the country, and now and then we kind of graduated into the larger animals when we started working with David and had property in space. And even now I'm a sucker for a dog. So and I have way too many here in this house, so I guess it just doesn't end. So but it's been worth it. It really has. You give up a lot. You don't do this for the money, that's for sure. But it has been worth all the time and all the struggle and everything else. And I don't think I'd change anything.
In fact, yeah, I know that you work a full-time job to be able to support
Correct.
a sanctuary.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
That has to be so incredibly hard.
It is difficult. I have found since meeting other people that work at other sanctuaries that I'm not alone in this. I still have to live. I still have to pay my own electrics and mortgage and all that. So yeah, I do work a full-time job, and I'm also involved in, directly involved in the animal care every week. And then there's, all the other things. As you well know, as you're a developing organization, you do have to rely completely on volunteers. There's no paid staff at all. And hopefully you can find a couple of those volunteers that are really willing to step up and and take responsibility for some of the functions. And then when they don't, it falls back to people like me and a few others But like I said, it's worth it, and we've made progress. I look back, to 5 years ago, and I think, wow, we've really come a long way, both administratively and financially, and doing fundraising and having a better place for the animals, and just everything that it's supposed to be. It's going like it's supposed to go. It takes time, it takes money, it takes effort, but it's moving forward, and I can't complain about that.
I think you've done some amazing things there to move it forward. And one of the most amazing, I was just delighted to see that you had joined at the Big Cat Workshop that was up in North Carolina recently. I was so happy to see that you guys kind of be there, because I know how hard that had to be I think you have board members with you as well, which is even harder when you're trying to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, my partner in running the place. That was the most worthwhile thing we could have done. That was just awesome. I am so glad that we managed to take the time to do that. We do have a person that lives on site, and she was willing to take time off from work to basically run the sanctuary while we were gone. And then, that was so worthwhile. Anybody who didn't go, I'm like, y'all don't know what you missed. It was really, really great. We just got a lot out of it. For one thing, you don't feel like you're so alone.
Right.
That's where I found out I wasn't the only one that worked a full-time job and did this. So that was really worth it. We met a lot of people. We learned things both with animal care, and also just how other people see and feel about what's going on, and and really where the problem is. So.
I think this kind of workshops and the coordination that is going on between sanctuaries now that was never there before has really helped everybody feel like, okay, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can all help each other.
Yeah, really. Yeah, they really have. We one of our current projects is to build a grizzly bear cage. Now, I realize that's not cat. However, I was able to reach out to one of the other sanctuaries that we met while we were at the workshop, and they had just built a grizzly bear cage also. So they were able to send me video of what they did, and they talked to me. They sent me a video about materials and all that kind of great stuff. So it was really, just a wonderful asset to get somebody else's opinion. So those are. I'm sorry, Carol?
How big are grizzly bears?
Well, this one's pretty young. He's about 1.5 years, but he could easily reach 800 pounds. He is, he's definitely a big boy, or going to be a big boy. He's about the size of a full-grown North American black bear now, and he could definitely be big, a lot bigger. He's definitely a busy fella. He wasn't on the agenda to get. In fact, we had other cat plans. But it was another one of those, let's go out and, we'll pet him, and now he needs a home, and because he's getting too big and people can't handle him and whatnot. So, we gave him a home. We had lost a bear, and we're like, well, we've recently lost a bear, and this is what this is our mission to do this. So we did it, and now we're like, grizzly bears and North American black bears are definitely two different animals. So, but he's a real treat. He's been a lot of fun.
And your sanctuary was actually named after a bear, correct?
Yes, correct. Elmira, back before the sanctuary ever existed, before it was even an organization or a rescue organization or anything, David who was the property owner, had 2 elderly black bears. Well, I guess they weren't that elderly, and they produced a baby bear. And so we kept, and that was Elmira, and we kept Elmira. And she kind of, like I said, we kept her. She was the only one that we'd really raised from a baby until we started getting the pet trade cubs. And she was just a real treat and everything, and we just really enjoyed her. And that was the first, large exotic that either Ted or I had ever really had any experience with. So when we were trying to decide, well, what are we going to name this wildlife sanctuary, Ted said, well, let's name it after Elmira. So we did. And so Elmira is front and center at the sanctuary. But she's a good girl, but she's definitely our diva bear. Absolutely. So.
And the reason I'd ask about the size of a grizzly bear is because I knew they were big, but I didn't know how big.
Oh, yeah.
And building a cage for a grizzly bear, you want to make sure that it's actually going to hold the grizzly bear. So it's really wonderful that you got to talk to somebody that had done that before.
It was. It really was. And fortunately, we were on the right track, and but the things like, I mean, we have to put a 3-foot concrete footer all the way around the cage, the enclosure, and that's a lot of concrete going around the bottom. He's got to have a much larger pool than the black bears have. He's got to have more space. What we're doing right now, because he needs to move quick, and because he's just getting too big, and so we are basically building half the enclosure with the pool right now, and then we will. It's more than adequate, for him. But we're going to build it. We're going to double the size. That will be the next bear project. Will be to double the size. So
when you say the 3-foot footer, is that 3 feet horizontal or vertical down into the ground?
Vertical down into the ground.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, because he does like to dig. Yeah, he digs, and so we and when I contacted the other sanctuary, they had basically, well, they're on rock, so that helped, but they also had to do the same thing in areas too, was go 3 foot down to the ground, and then that will tie into the fencing on the outside of the cage, and then he has an in-ground pool. I have never had an in-ground pool in my life, but this bear has an in-ground pool. Yes, he has an in-ground pool. So, yes, he does. The pool boy. Yeah. Well, we figure once we get the other side built, then we can let him go play over there while we clean it and maybe enjoy it in the hot summer. So anyway, but yeah, so it's a treat. But he has, watching him grow up and seeing him do the things that he would normally do in nature, and he still does it, and watching him do that, it's pretty funny. I've got some good videos of him that someday I'll manage to edit and post, but he's very entertaining. So.
You had mentioned that a lot of your animals come from the pet trade, and I think you said specifically the bears come from the pet trade, which I find amazing.
Well, one did actually. One did. The other ones, I'm not real sure. The others, Stanley came from the pet trade, and of course Elmira was the offspring of the other two. No, actually our other bears, they do that occasionally, but not like the cats. Actually our other bears came, I said we did a big rescue 8 months, well, probably 6 to 8 months after we moved in at the current property, and that's where we got our other bears. Another preserve in Florida, here in Florida, was shut down by the state and the government feds, and we took their bears as well as a bunch of their tigers and some other cats also. But that's where the majority of our bears came from, except for Elmira and Stanley, was from this other facility.
Yeah, my guess would be that probably most bears that end up being discarded are probably the result of the same thing that causes most cats to be discarded. It's the cub handling.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Little baby bear.
Oh, they're adorable.
Oh. Yeah.
They are. I mean, Elmira was like a live teddy bear, and it was, and I mean, it is great fun to do the cub petting and all that, and I understand the attraction to that. But what nobody ever thinks about that, other 25 years that this animal has to live, because I would say bears in captivity and tigers in captivity have a similar lifespan. So, we're running into the same thing with the bears that you do with the tigers. If there's, nobody to take them once they're 6 months or they can't be handled anymore, then, what do you do? And a lot of bears get euthanized. The bears are much harder to place, I think, than tigers. That's what I hear and all that. And I've had to turn them away, and I know they got euthanized, and it breaks my heart, but there's nothing I can do about it. I can only take what I can take, as you well know. So.
As hard as it is to house and keep tigers safe, I just can't even imagine an animal that digs. I'm so glad that we don't have tigers or dogs or anything that dig. Our cages would not hold them.
I know. I don't blame you. The black bears, they don't dig too much. Stanley will accept. We have wolves that they dig a little bit, but Stanley's the first real digger that we've had, and it has been a challenge. If we can keep him busy, then he doesn't want to dig. I mean, he's bored. He's in captivity, and the cage he's in now is really, it's it's really too small for it's big enough legally, but it's really too small for him, and we're really looking forward to getting him into the new enclosure where he's got some play equipment and his big in-ground pool and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we're gonna make him a tetherball and
Oh, wow.
things like that. So yeah, well, like I said, we got to keep him busy.
I think that's true of all of these captive wild
It
animals.
is. It really is.
And they're bored out of their minds. So big challenge to try and find
It
them.
really is. It really is. So, and it's wonderful that again, that's where it comes in. It was wonderful to meet all the other sanctuaries and whatnot because they, face these same challenges and, have shared ideas. I mean, that enrichment exercise we did was such a hoot, but I think we all got, different ideas of things to make for the animals by doing that. It really was a beneficial thing, I think, for all of us.
As you said, well worth the time.
Oh gosh, yes.
Well, tell me about your cats. How many?
Well, we have 12 tigers and a lion, and we have now have 3 semi-elderly leopards, 3 cougars, a couple of lynx, and some servals. So we kind of go the gamut from tiny all the way up. Our tigers are all rescues from some were babies from the going out and let's pet the tiger trade, and a whole bunch of them came from the place that shut down. When we first moved to the property, we had 3 tigers, and now we have 12. So that's I take it back. We had 4 tigers. So we rescued 8 tigers at that point. And then we have a beautiful lion named Casper, who was a pet, one of the pet cats, and now he's 12 years old and the king of our jungle. And then we have several. Well, we're actually down to 3 leopards, and I think you might have known some of the leopards.
Really?
Yes, and you just disappeared.
What I'm wondering, though, is do you see my screen here that has...
Oh, it's going crazy. There it is. There's the cat chat screen. Okay, there's Casper.
Okay.
That's Casper, our lion. And he likes his pumpkin. Casper's birthday is Halloween, and so he always gets some pumpkins and a piñata of some sort, preferably a ghost or something like that, since, of course, he is named after Casper the Friendly Ghost. So that's right. Hey, you remember Casper. These other people might not, but you do. So.
And why was he after a ghost?
Well, because he was born on Halloween.
Oh, okay. Well, that should have been obvious, huh?
Yeah, well, and yes, he has a sister, Sabrina, and Sabrina after Sabrina the Teenage Witch because they were born on Halloween. So, aren't we clever? Okay, I didn't name them. I'm innocent. I didn't name them.
Yeah, I can usually blame all of our people.
That's right. So.
And I don't know what order I put them in here.
That's okay. This tiger is Chuff Chuff. And Chuff Chuff was born to be petted. He was in a litter of 3, but he was a little wild man, so he never actually did get taken out to be petted. He came to us almost immediately, and we had to bottle feed him, and of course now he's grown up into this beautiful cat, and he's probably one of the sweetest tigers that we have here. And I'm just really glad that he ended up with us instead of being out there and getting all upset about other things. Who knows, what he would have been like if he'd been handled a lot by strangers.
Right.
Yeah, but anyway, so he ended up being a sweet guy. I'm sorry?
I think I see some tiger legs behind him.
You see some tiger legs behind him. Yep, that is Shadow. That's his woman. Of course, he's neutered. We don't breed, but they have been together since they were pretty young. Shadow was born for the circus, and but also for whatever reason, way before we became a sanctuary is when Shadow arrived. Shadow's in her mid-teens, and she is she's one of the lucky ones. She is a beautiful white tiger. She doesn't really have any obvious genetic issues. We do have another white tiger that, has crossed eyes and some other issues that, again, like I say, we're lucky with our white tigers in that they don't have a lot of these genetic issues. But they were both of the white tigers that we have were born for the circus, and for whatever reason didn't end up there.
Well, I understand it's only like 1 out of 30 that actually end up being used performing because of their temperament. And
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't want to perform with either one of those. although I'll be the other one who I don't know if I have a picture of him in this or not. He's another white tiger. But no, there's Court, and no, I guess I don't. He acts more like somebody might have tried to train him because he does a lot of silly things. He likes to kick his ball around and he moves stuff around and is a lot more interactive with his toys. And I'm thinking that somebody might have tried to train him at one point. Now this little girl laying right here with her ball is Lexi. And Lexi was the last 2 baby tigers we've ever had. Lexi and Court, her brother, were at the facility that was shut down back in 2008, and they were baby tigers at that point, and they were all ready. He was all ready to take them out and take them to the store and let people pet them when he got shut down. And so we took them at probably about 12 weeks and bottle fed them until we didn't have to anymore, and got them out on solid food and basically, just got them out in an enclosure instead of having them get petted by everybody and all that. So that was our last, encounter with baby tigers. Unless something happens, I don't know that we will again. But it was fun, and I don't regret it, but I'm not going to breed anymore just so I can play with baby tigers.
I love that you guys are on the soft earth, and I think that's so important for their job.
Oh, yeah, it really is. In fact, if you scroll down a little bit, there's a cougar. This is Dante, and Dante was raised in a modified mobile home. The sides have been taken out and have been turned into a cage with a wooden floor. And Dante spent the first 16 years of his life in that cage. And so, of course, it's really infected his joints and everything. So when we brought him here with that thing. We towed that thing across the state, because he needed a place to live until we could build a new enclosure. And then we built him this enclosure here, and you can see he's got grass and dirt and everything else. And it was the first time he'd ever touched real earth. And so there's a video on our website of him touching the earth for the first time after being in this trailer with this wooden floor for all his life, and all the volunteers are surrounding him, and we all sound like a bunch of idiots going, "Come on, Dante! Come on, Dante!" But, it was really great to do, and it really meant a lot to us to know that we were able to make his life a little bit better. Yeah, we had concrete over at the other place. Now we do have a couple of enclosures that have some concrete in them, mainly because of drainage issues. But we always want to make sure that the cats have the soft earth to roll and play in and poop in too. I think they like pooping there a little bit better than on the concrete. So,
and
anyway,
it makes it a whole lot harder for you as a keeper to get that.
It does. It really does. It really does. So yeah, it's when we were at the old place and it was all concrete at the old place, and you could clean the cages in an hour or less, and now it is a lot longer because we have to either shift or lock down or whatever to get the insides, because the chain link is not really conducive to pulling. So that means that people like me and a couple of others who have a lot of experience doing this have to always be you always have to have somebody like that present anyway. But we have to be actively involved in the actual feeding and cleanup and all that. Just because you can't, even somebody, I'm not going to turn my enclosure keys over to somebody that's been there even for 3 years. I need them there a lot longer than that before I feel comfortable doing that, because you're doing things. We always pair up, and But anytime you're shifting a cat, as you well know, you guys do it all the time too. But anytime you're shifting a cat, you have to follow procedure. You have to, make sure that there are people there that know what they're doing, and everybody knows their role and all that, because those are the kind of times when accidents happen. And unfortunately, even amongst our own, we've seen some unfortunate accidents that, tend to probably, human error is probably involved. So.
Yeah,
So that's what we do.
If you're doing something every day of your life for 2 years, you start to get complacent, and the cats are always looking for that opportunity.
No, they sure are. I mean, and that's when like I said, we've been, blessed that we haven't had any tragedies, and we're always, constantly trying to be vigilant for that very reason. And so we always work together. We work together as a group. We don't let people, and I love to work alone. So, it's hard for me, but I do know that, it's the right way to go. It's the safest thing to do. And this last little girl here, this is Minnie Bear, which is kind of sideways, but that's okay.
I could not figure out how to get her turn.
But that's okay, and you can imagine, she's kind of in charge. She looks in charge, doesn't she?
She does.
Yeah. No, actually, one of our volunteers used to live across the street, and Minnie Bear lived over there with about 6 other cats. And when we moved over here into the current property, Minnie Bear moved out of her house and moved over and said, "I'm going to be the only house cat here." And until recently, she has been. But she's a good little girl. So we go all the way from house cats to lions and tigers, and plus some bears and parrots and lemurs and a little bit of everything else. So
she obviously knows the 3-foot rule.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. So, actually, it's very rare. That's actually outside the compound, and it's very rare that she comes out. So, and then you look with the pictures that you got there. Oh, on our website. Yeah, this is this picture of Dante right here. You see that in the background? He's inside that trailer I was telling you about.
I love that trailer is still sitting there. When we brought our volunteers, great to have that as kind of a reminder to show people that animals are kept out there.
That's exactly what we use it for storage too. It does come in handy. But that's exactly what we do on our tours. We tell all of our guests that this is, frequently the kind of situations where they end up, the kind of enclosures and whatnot that they end up in, and we obviously don't want that to happen. Dante is a lot happier on the ground. He's still got his, arthritis and other issues, but he's definitely, seeing him roll around with a ball or a tube or something else, and acting like a little kitten is a real treat. So. Oh, here comes Casper again. I see. But yeah, these are some of our critters. Casper's the only lion we have. And I wish he had a girlfriend, but he doesn't. So, and then this is Elmira herself. Actually, that's in her old pool. And then when you scroll on down, and we got a serval down there. Our servals are also very old, and they came from. Oh no, that's Lexi when she was a baby, when we first got her. And this is Ollie the bobcat, and Ollie is also in a new enclosure now too, and you notice that he only has one functional eye.
Seeing Ollie.
Huh?
I don't remember.
No, you did. No, he's not on the tour path. In fact, he's just recently gotten to where he's not petrified all the time. Not sure exactly what the whole story is, but apparently he was attacked in the wild by something. Then he ended up apparently Fish and Wildlife ended up with him and took him to another facility who didn't have any place to put him. I wish they would have taken him to you. And so anyway, by the time he got to us, of course, he'd been in captivity for quite a while. And the vet checked him out and did not think that the vet does not think he is a good candidate for rehab. But he's a good little cat, and he's friendly, and he's comfy and he has fun. He since has a new fancy new enclosure also. But so it looks like he's got a permanent home with us for now. Yeah. And then we have a whole bunch of these. These are the noisiest things here. Like I said, people, do not realize what they're getting into when they get the big birds. They want this fancy bird that can talk. Well, if you want a fancy bird that can talk, you've got to spend a lot of time with that bird. And most people aren't really willing to put in the investment. So we end up with cockatoos and macaws that can screech like there is no tomorrow and be really loud. So again, that's how we ended up with them. Almost every one of them originally belonged to a private owner who was like, I can't handle this anymore. I gotta get rid of them.
And people pay a bloody fortune.
They do. I know. It's unbelievable how much they pay.
And then they give them away because you can't deal with all of this.
Yeah. Yeah. They try and sell them. Yeah. They'll try and sell it later, a couple of years later. But by this time, they've got an out-of-control bird that nobody wants to buy.
Right.
And I mean, I've personally been rescuing birds for a long time. Before I ever started getting into tigers, I rescued birds, and now, thank God, now I have a sanctuary to take them to. Because I tell you, we would not be having this chat if I still had all the birds here. So yeah. But.
Did you get a chance to talk with Patty Finch at the Big Cat Workshop by any chance?
Not really. Not about the birds, no. I wanted to because I know that she's kind of started her own little bird rescue, and I did want a chance to talk to her, but the woman's got 60 birds in her house. That scares the heck out of me.
A lot of birds.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. So, and then Benny and Tyler are servals. They're old, and they both are one. I'm not sure where Tyler came from. He came from, I want to say, another facility that wanted to get rid of him. And Benny, of course, came from our old friend Dolores Newman. And these two, they're just like an old couple living together. They're kind of funny. They slap at each other and argue and do everything else. But they're again very entertaining. They said they're all entertaining. And right now we have two lynx, Freddie and Ginger. And Freddie is good old-fashioned Siberian lynx. And Ginger is our Iberian lynx, or a Amur lynx. Not Amur lynx, what am I saying? Spanish lynx. And as you know, those are very endangered. Ginger is the oldest cat at the sanctuary. She's about 25 years old.
Wow.
And she is one of the feistiest cats that we have. She lost an eye to cancer a few years ago, but it has not stopped her. She has no problem if you get, if you were to, she has been handled. We don't handle her because she wouldn't hesitate to swat us with those claws. But so yeah, so we're down. We just have the two lynx since we lost Boris last year, which was a very sad thing. And again, thank you so much for helping out with Boris and making his last days that much nicer. By the way, you will be pleased to know that Ginger just got her brand new table with ramp.
Oh,
and that's right. In fact, Dante just got some new ramps too. And yep, we copied some of your ideas. So, yeah.
Pediatric cats, they can't get up on anything.
Or it's really tough. So yeah, they do they're funny though. They'll walk up the ramp and then jump down. Okay, whatever.
I see you got a shade tree going on back there. I know you.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Well, actually, we're going to actually have. That tree is actually probably a little bit taller now than it was when that picture was taken. We might actually. It'll be so nice to not have the shade cloth anymore. You remember I think you said you must have had shade cloth. You brought it to us.
Yeah, we had to wait for them to grow.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, that shade cloth has come in handy, but we are definitely looking forward to when those trees get tall enough. But, like I said, we were talking about, it never happening in my lifetime, but actually I think it just might when I look at the trees and even how they were 3 or 4 years ago when they were first planted. And I can actually, park a golf cart anyway under a tree and get some shade. Well, part of the golf cart anyway. So yeah, it's making it. We'll get there. We will have some shade, and then property next door has a lot of trees up in the front, and well, and you saw on that where we want to go there. These are our wolfies, and the wolves. We have two full-blooded timber wolves or gray wolves, whatever you can call them. I don't know if you know, but timber wolves can vary in color from almost white or blonde to almost black. These two are a very light sort of a blonde, but they do have some black in them. And then the other one that we have is a wolf hybrid. And then we also have a dog that was raised with a wolf hybrid, and she is just very elderly, and so she just still lives at the sanctuary too. So we kind of have our own little pack. I'm sorry?
You get a lot of hybrid calls?
No, not really. Not as many as I thought we would. Well, and I'll tell you what, it's because they're not illegal. In fact, a few years ago, Fish and Wildlife took a hybrid from somebody because they were saying that she didn't have the proper permits for it, and they brought it to us, and the woman went to court to get it back, and she won. And Fish and Wildlife came back. We had the animal for probably a year. He was pretty good, but we really liked him a lot. And but she won, and she got him back, and we were in contact with her for a little while, and then she quit answering the phone. So we don't know what happened to him, but he was in a residential neighborhood, and we're just absolutely petrified that somewhere along the way animal control came and got him and put him down, or something else happened. But we never heard again. So, but that's the only hybrid that we've actually had to deal with, and like I said, I think it's because they're not illegal. And people can
cats aren't illegal either, but man, do we get a ton of calls.
Really? Yeah, I haven't gotten. Of course, you're doing more with cats too. So, and then that's Trench the Coatimundi, and that is not how you spell Coatimundi, but I don't do the website. Okay. They're a mixture of. They're like kind of like a raccoon, but they're native to Texas and South America. And you can see the big long claws that they have, but they're related to raccoons, and they're pretty neat. Trench did have a buddy, but his buddy passed, and they came from a private owner who couldn't keep them anymore because they were having children or something like that.
I've had Coatimundi in the past, and the ones that I had were they were being marketed as the world's largest rats in some little freak sideshow, and they had completely cut off the ends of their toes. So that they wouldn't dig out of the enclosures that they had. So it's interesting.
Oh my God!
How long their paws should have been.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
They're very long. Yeah. Well. Yeah. That's disgusting, man. And you mean they weren't marketing capybaras as world's largest rat? I see that often.
I guess they couldn't find capybaras.
Probably not. And then that's our Yeltsin up there. He is he's an Amur leopard. We have one Amur leopard and two Indian leopards at this time. We recently lost our African leopard, and which was of course very sad. But Yeltsin, the Amur leopard, he is also elderly and has some joint issues and whatnot. But we look at it this way: if he doesn't seem to be in pain and he can get around and he can eat, then it's not his time yet. This is Flo the Fennec Fox. And Flo, she actually has gotten a little too domesticated and lives at somebody's home. But we bring her out to the sanctuary for people to see her and all that. But believe me, foxes don't make good house pets either. You gotta be prepared. So, but she's just too small really for us to keep at home. And then those are just are some of the events that we've had in the past.
Do you have any events coming up?
Not right now. We haven't been doing too much at the sanctuary, mainly because we find that we're so busy just trying to keep the day-to-day that every time we try and do an event out of the sanctuary, it just doesn't seem to work out. So we've been, we just recently had an event at the River's Edge in Gibsonton, which is a beautiful place on the river where we went and just showed pictures and had a booth and had raffles and 50/50s and all that kind of stuff. We don't really like taking anybody out. About the only ones we can take out are the fox or a bird, but even that we don't really like taking them out because they don't really like it. And so, well, they don't like going out. So I don't think any of the animals really like going to all these different events and all that kind of good stuff. I don't know. It's funny how things have changed for me since I really started getting into this, and how I don't want to say opinion exactly, but what I do and how I feel about the animals and what we should do with them. And in the past, I might have taken them out to exhibit, but I just don't anymore. I just don't want to anymore. I just don't think they like it. So I don't.
It's been an evolution for us too, and we used to take some of the cats out.
Sure.
And our rule was that as long as the cat hopped in the carrier and seemed like they were fine with going, the cats
right.
Getting in the carrier means you're going someplace.
Right.
Fine, but there was not going to be any forcing them into the carrier. And the last time that happened was in I think it was like 1999.
Mm-hmm.
Jungle cat that we would take out to schools because Rambo is very sociable and just loves everybody that he meets. He's out on the tour path and is a favorite of everybody. But the person who was taking him out couldn't get him to go in the carrier, and so she picked him up and pushed him in the carrier, and I fired her immediately. And we decided after that, you know what? He was the last one that ever said, "Hey, I want to go out somewhere," and so we don't.
Right. Yeah. I just, they just don't really like it. So, and it's a hassle, and I think they get overstimulated. I took a bird out. One of our birds. I was like, okay, I'll take the bird out. Just screeched the whole time. It's like, fine, I'm taking the bird back. I mean, we're not going to do this. So, anyway, but I see you have a picture of our property up here.
Yes, because you have some exciting stuff going on. Well,
yes, we do.
The bottom picture there, I think that's the backside of that trailer you were talking about.
No, actually, the bottom picture is actually that is where. Oh, that's right. This isn't my screen. I'm sitting here trying to scroll your screen. Yeah, really. No, actually, this grass expand. Oh no, the bottom. Oh, I'm looking at the middle, the one in the middle here. Is we are going to be making a very large, this whole grassed-in area here, and you can see there's a pond on the right and the trees and all that. And we are going to be making this into a very large, a half-acre size enclosure there. And then all of those, you can see actually what you're seeing is the backsides of den boxes as we go along there. And you can see there's a culvert and a big spool and whatnot. We are going to make that into a giant enclosure. This will be finally we'll be able to let the cats out to run and play a little bit. All of the backs of all of those den boxes actually open. And so granted we won't be able to let everybody out all at the same time, but it's a start. We'll be able to let the cats out some of them can go out together. And so they'll be able to go out, and we'll be building a big stand. I don't know what do you call those big platforms that you guys make all the time? Okay. Well, anyway, we're making those. Okay, platforms. There'll be one of those, and like I said, they have the culvert and the pond, and it obviously goes back into the side more. If you look at the aerial view, you can see on the far right bottom, you can see the line of roofs right there, and you can kind of see the pond. That's the area that is going to get enclosed first.
Oh, okay. That's going to be my next question. Was this on your current property or the new one you just bought?
Right. This is where we're going to start it, is there at the current property, which is, of course, the bottom half. Then at that point, we will swing around to the back and start moving over into the back end of the new property up there to the north. So we will make the next enclosure like right inside there, but at the back end. And they will, tunnel. Well, oh, you can't see me. Well, they'll tunnel, from one enclosure to the next, so we can shift fairly easily. And then we're just going to kind of continue on in that back area back there. We should be able to make several, 1/2 to 1 acre enclosures right in there where we can find them. We've got a couple of tigers that we want to kind of move off the tour path, so we'll like permanently relocate them over there, and then slowly, you know, expand the enclosures, and hopefully, ultimately, you know, we probably won't tear down, you know, I don't know, maybe eventually we will be able to tear down the chain link enclosures. I know that's way far off, but yeah, I'm really dreaming. But the plan is to, you know, starting with the back, and then swing, you know, onto the other property, and kind of fill in that back area that looks cleared. It's not really cleared, it just looks cleared from the aerial view. And fill in that area with some of the larger enclosures. And then as we can, you know, relocate some of the cats, then we can expand on the original property and make some bear turnouts, so that they can get a little more activity. All of our enclosures have a pond. There, you can kind of see some of the ponds. I can't really point. You can't really see where I'm pointing, I guess.
Can you see here? When I put can you see my mouse on the screen?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. So you can see the big pond, and then you can see if you go to your right and up a little bit. Go to your right a little bit, or my right, your left, and up there. You see, there's that pond, and then there's another one. So the idea is to make those areas into regular, you know, large enclosure areas, so that bears or the smaller cats. We've got smaller cats in the front. The bears are kind of in the middle there. And then the big cats are there in the back. And so we're going to start with doing the big cats, then we want to enclose some of that, and enclose up in the front so the smaller cats can also have some areas to move around in. So
this is the road that comes into your property, and this was the old property down here, right?
No, that's the road. Then this is the actual, that's the where you just had it. That is the actual bumpy dirt road. The entrance is right there, almost where your mouse is, but there's the property line right there.
Right here.
And so now we own both of those pieces of property. Right, so there we start there to there, right, and so that basically what's in that picture is all of our property.
Wow.
And so you can see that whereas, you know, the original sanctuary is the bottom part. That's where we originally leased. We moved in 2 weeks. We built enclosures, and we moved in 2 weeks.
Now that's a really short way of explaining what happened there. I can't imagine it. In fact, we were at that. Well, you know, we were at that zoning hearing last night.
Yeah. How did that go?
Well, it'll be 15 days before we know how they rule.
Uh-huh.
But one of the neighbors came up and said, "I think you should just move to Lakeland." I'm thinking, yeah, right. I'm going to move 105 cats to Lakeland.
Oh my God, I know. It's like, you know, you guys were there first too. That's what gets me, I think, more than anything else, is that y'all were there first, and
so
now.
I'd like to move all those cats.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Well, it's like, you know, I mean, they gave us 2 weeks to move, and we were just really fortunate that the property that we moved on to was vacant. The people were building a house there, and the house was finished, and this is an awful story right in itself. The house was finished, and you know how during hurricane season, for anybody who lives in Florida, you already know this, during hurricane season you can't get homeowners insurance.
Right.
And so it was hurricane season. The house was done, but they couldn't, you know, get a CO and move in because they couldn't get homeowners insurance. The house burned down.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, the house burned down. It was an electrical fire. Anyway, so they ended up buying a house, an existing house on another piece of property. So that had sat vacant for 2 years. And one of our, like I think I told you, one of our volunteers had lived across the street, and she was like, "Let's see if we can go there." And we called him up, and he's like, "Sure, well, you know, I'll lease it to you to own, and when you get the money, and you know, we'll, you know, do a mortgage, and y'all can buy it." Okay, great, wonderful. And for anybody who is after having been thrown off, you know, somebody dies, there's no benefit to us. All we got left, all I got left was animals. No money, no property, no nothing. And so we learned from that, and when we were leasing this property, and I will say this for the benefit of other people who do not own their property, what we did was we took a life insurance policy out on the property owner. So if something did happen to him, we would have money to either purchase that property outright or at least have money to buy another piece of property and be able to afford to move, enclosures, build new enclosures, whatnot.
I've never heard that being done before. That's really clever.
Yeah, and but it was the only thing we could think of to do because, we didn't know. I mean, his wife could have said, "Okay, your lease is up, bye," and which is basically what happened before. And it can happen once. Fool me once. Shame on me. Fool me twice.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to have that happen again. And now, of course, we've purchased the property, and so we're safe now.
And I'm sure
our animals are safe.
I'm sure that was no small effort to gather up that kind of money to purchase.
Well, it was, and it's partial. I mean, we have somebody that helped us out a lot, and we do have mortgages. We have a very small mortgage on the original property. We got the property to the north at a really good price, and we do have a mortgage on that. But it's doable. We have enough income, with donations and tour income that we can make those payments. That's part of the reason, we don't want more animals. That's why it's so slow for us to, increase these enclosure sizes and whatnot because, well, not only do we have to be able to pay, the monthly bills. I always tell people that running a sanctuary in a lot of ways is like running a household. You have the same bills, you have mortgage, you have electric, you have telephone. Plus you have, this enormous chicken bill. And then you have, all these other, extra things, but you still have to do laundry and you still have to clean the kitchen and so on and so forth. But we have enough income to pay our bills. That's about all we can really count on. Like I said, we don't have any paid staff at this time. And a lot of what I kind of get stuck between a rock and a hard place here. Doing things like what we're doing today, and these collaborative grants. And by the way, we are working on a collaborative grant with three sanctuaries have joined together to do a collaborative grant, which came out of the workshop. We, to do all these things and to keep Facebook up to date and to organize fundraisers, takes a lot of time. I mean, that is a full-time job just doing that. And so that's where I kind of run into problems in that. In order to keep the day-to-day going, because I have to be involved in the day-to-day and that full-time job, and unfortunately, it's things like this that we're doing today is what falls by the wayside. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to do this and to chat, and to, I know a lot of people follow you and check out your stuff, so I appreciate the opportunity to expose Elmira's and our myriad of critters to the rest of the world, all of the Big Cat Rescue followers. So
I know I've been you to do this show forever, and it's like, I can't do today. You got to work. I can't do it next. I can't do it. And it's like, all right, can we pre-tape this?
Yeah, really.
You're busy.
Yeah, well, you have to be. You have to be. I mean, you think back to 1992 when you were first getting started and all that, and you were insane. You were. You had to have been, because I'm insane. I'm just a little older. I wish I had started. I'd had a lot more energy if I'd started this 20 years ago. But you do what you got to do, and that's really what it all comes down to. Is you do what you got to do because you're doing it for the animals because it's the right thing to do. And we're in it. You and I and Patty and Kelly and everybody else that we met at the workshop. We're all in it for the same reason. We're all in it because somebody's got to advocate for those animals, because otherwise there won't be any animals. And so that's why we're here, and that's why we're doing it.
I think you're probably at one of the hardest stages for a sanctuary, in that now what you're trying to do is give the animals you have more space.
Exactly.
Perimeter fencing around this whole new property, and
sure.
And all of that kind of stuff that's just not sexy or glamorous to donors. They want you to go out and rescue a new animal. It's like, we need to take care of the ones that we have right now first, and then we'll go rescue more animals.
Right.
That's really hard money to raise.
It really is. It really is. And we're really fortunate that we do have a couple of people that really they know what we do, and they know they've been out, they know what they do, they've lived it, and they know that these kinds of things are important, and they've really helped us out a lot. But I also thoroughly expect that, like, let's say if that federal law does pass. And I think that will be the start to, other animals, other animals that are in the same situation, like the bears. That there is going to be more and more of a need, at least temporarily, for places like yours, places like mine. We're going to need to be able to, rescue these animals, and that's another reason why I want to, be able to develop that property over there. So, when something happens, I see it a week after we left the workshop. There are, there's reports of, so and so's taken these, has rescued these and has taken them to, somewhere else to have a new home. And I think we're going to see more and more of that, particularly if the laws do pass. And also, of course, more and more states are cracking down. It's still hard for me to believe that I could go to some of these states and, walk in and say, oh, isn't that a cute baby tiger? How much? Oh, $200. Okay, thanks, I'll take it, and then take it home. I can't believe that, that's still possible to do that. And I think when it's not, it's really going to, at least in the short term, affect places like ours. And I think we're going to be doing a lot more.
For people that don't know, the bill that she's talking about is the Big Cats and Public Safety Protection Act.
Right.
So what you're saying is true, that once that bill passes, I think there will be a lot of animals that will be in immediate need of rescue because the bad guys that own them can't make money off of them using them as petting props and that sort of thing. But we can't keep rescuing tons and tons of animals before that bill passes because it enables them to dump the animals they don't want and breed more.
And which is what they do.
Yes. So that's why this bill is so important, but you're right. Once that bill passes, a lot of sanctuaries are going to be needing to step up to the plate and take in these animals that are guarded. And so we do have to be ready, and we have to have cage space available. And it's like building all of this infrastructure is so important to sanctuaries.
It really is. Yes, it is. And unfortunately, like you said, it is not sexy at all. And, doing the enclosure for Stanley, that was a little bit easier. He was cute and he's funny, and now we've got to build him a cage and da-da-da-da-da. And everybody really got on board on that. I've had a heck of a time raising money for this play area turnout kind of thing, Been wanting to do that since we moved on the property. But like you said, it's just not sexy. There's just nobody, until somebody sees an animal running out there and jumping and playing in that pond, they're not going to get it. They're not going to get. I'm hoping that once this first one is done, that raising money for the additional ones is going to be easier because people can see just what it is that the animals are getting out of this.
I'm not sure that's the case though, because we just
darn.
We just did that 2.5 acre enclosure.
I know. I love that thing.
Oh, it took us a year to build it, and over a year to raise the money for it because it was $1,000 to do 2 acres. And we did all the videos of the cats running and playing and swimming and playing in the fountains. And then we said, okay, let's do one for the leopards and cougars. And I am getting no traction on people wanting to support that. It's like, what? I thought the same thing. I'm like, yeah, people would love what they could do if they could see it. And even when they see it, they're like, no, I want you to rescue an animal.
Oh, no. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's just it. Aren't you getting more animals? I hear that all the time. The most common questions are, where did they come from? And are you getting any more? Do you have any babies?
Oh, I hate it. It's like, you do not know anything.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people aren't listening to me. And I get on I was in at a meeting of a group of volunteers that I participate in, and so of course everybody volunteers at different places. And somebody wanted me to talk about Elmira's, and I get up there, and and I talk about why we're here, and of course I get on the soapbox, and I can just see them going, and they're just dying to say, "Do you have any babies?" But you can see the eyes glaze over, because people care about the plight of little children. They don't care about the plight of tigers. They belong in the wild. Well, where's the wild? I mean, I'm still agonizing over the video of the tiger we saw that was released in Russia. Did it make it, or did some crazy Chinese person come along and kill it?
Yeah.
No, and that breaks my heart. But yay for IFAW for at least making the effort. So.
Absolutely. Well, we have been talking for an hour. I told you.
I know. I figured that would happen.
So how can people support Elmira's?
Well, there's lots of ways. Of course, anybody can, volunteers. We always need volunteers. But the biggest thing that we need, of course, we always need, cash donations for operating expenses. From buying chicken to paying the mortgage. And in a way, those are some of the, because of grants and whatnot, very rarely fund operating expenses. But they can also, contribute to one of our projects. Our current projects, of course, are this tiger turnout and also the Stanley's new enclosures. You can donate through our website. If you go to our website and there's a donate now, it'll take you to PayPal. We also have a wish list if you want to donate something material. We can always use boomer balls and of various sizes and whatnot. You can see there, there's our wish list of the things that we need.
You are seeing
yes, I do see them. Yes, I do see them. Yes, I do. And I even know what those things are. So you can see that there is, the wish list is hey, we got the battery-powered weed eater. It's funny how you look at this and you're like, oh, wow, hey, we got that one. So, but you can see that household items, you just have to have the standard stuff. So we always are looking for stuff on our wish list. So, those are the big things, is things on our wish list, but also you can come out and, do a tour. We do tours on Saturdays at 11 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 2 p.m. And we also do them on the first Sunday of the month. And, I've got to update that. I'm glad you reminded me. Yeah, I need to add next year's tours in. You can buy your buy your tickets online through Zurb. You can also buy your tickets at the door. You can also become a member, and membership starts at $25, and you get our newsletter and get invites to. We usually do 1 or 2 member events every year, which is just basically a little party, and it may be Casper's birthday. We frequently do something on Casper's birthday, with piñatas and whatnot. So there's lots of ways that you can donate. We also have a Bentley's Builders Fund, which Bentley was our caracal who passed away several years ago, and we use that money for enclosures and also any kind of building that we need to do. So, and then of course we are looking specifically for a small portable building, a mini mobile, a shed. I don't necessarily want a full-fledged mobile home, but if anybody's got a shed, something, I'm looking for something to lock. Actually, I'm looking for one of those temporary buildings like what you have there at Big Cat, where you store all your merchandise. That's what I'm looking for, something like that. So we're, but we desperately need a building where we can secure things and we can use for an office. I have no office, which is why I'm doing this from my home.
Actually, today I'm doing this from my home because my office is being gutted. The floor is completely rotted out of it, and they've had to completely.
Oh no! Oh no! See, you still have to deal with that kind of stuff too. So no, it's like so. So anyway, so there are many ways. There's usually, like I said, we can always use cash. Spread the word. Like our Facebook page and share it with your friends. We are in the process. We do have a YouTube channel with 1 video on it. Remember I was talking about I got to edit those videos. So, we have a lot of things that are kind of in place. For volunteers, of course, I'm always looking for people who are interested in doing animal care and give tours. And I'm also desperately in need, like Ready to Raid You, desperately in need of somebody who can not only help us plan projects like enclosures and whatnot, but also help to lead them. And I've got, there's plenty of people that, yeah, I can swing a hammer, I'm glad to help. And lots of people that are willing to help, but I really only have one person. I have one person who is willing to lead a project, and he can't lead a project to save his life. So, I want your dad. That's what I really want. I want your dad.
My dad's busy 6 days a week. Boy.
I know. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. So yeah. So that's that's the other thing. So we have to, like when we're doing, for instance, this enclosure, we're actually going to pay a company. We pay people to do, which of course adds to the cost, because we can't really do it ourselves. So I'm always looking for that kind of expertise, always looking for people who want to do animal care, because there's always a need for people to learn how to do the animal care. And because it takes so much training and it takes commitment. And that's what I find, that, people like, oh, yeah, I want to make the commitment. And a lot of them just last for a couple of weeks. And then you have some that make it to orientation, and that's all. You never see them again. I'm coming. I can do this date, and I'll be there at such and such a time, and you never see them again. So
I will, on the show notes page, I'll put a link to elmiraswildlife.org. I think that was the right URL.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Elmiraswildlife.org.
Yeah, elmiraswildlife.org is the website. And on the members page is some info on volunteering. There's a volunteer application, which can be returned to us, and then we do orientations every few weeks when we have enough people. Someday I'm going to have a nice fancy, program. My volunteer program is better than it was 6 months ago, and it's still got a long way to go. But usually when we have a handful of people that are interested in volunteering, then we go ahead and do an orientation. I hope to be doing something with this next year with interns. I had
godsend. I love
yeah. So, well, my niece also uses interns in her business. She started a business, and to get help, she got interns, and so I have learned the benefit of interns. So at least for office and clerical type things to start with, I'll probably start doing some stuff with some interns, and then maybe eventually some pre-vet students and interns that way. So anyway, we're moving forward. It's slow, like you said. It is. We are kind of in a transitional period right now, as we're trying to expand for what we have. We're trying to have a better administration, a better volunteer program, a better membership program. We need to start an adopt an animal program. All those things that pretty much most of the sanctuaries do, because they're great fundraisers. So we'll get there. It's one day at a time. This is why I don't recommend anybody start a wildlife sanctuary. Join one that already exists. Help it expand. Don't start a new one.
And when people hear that, it's not because you don't want the competition. It's because
they
fail because they just have no idea how hard it is.
There is no such thing as competition. There are too many animals that need to be rescued for there to be any competition when it comes to being a sanctuary. An animal park, a zoo, maybe not, but there's just no, there is no competition with sanctuaries. That's why I was so thrilled to go in October, because sanctuaries have to work together, especially if we do have a crisis ahead of us. I don't know what's going to happen, but state laws are going to change regardless of the big cat bill. State laws are changing, and they're going to that's going to make a difference too.
Last few years.
Yeah. So but let's do it again. I enjoyed this very much, and I think one of these days we'll have to come out, and you can film, and I'll chat while we walk around or something. So I did enjoy it. So,
I think this morning would have been really cold, though.
I am sitting here freezing right now. So, it is cold. I don't care what anybody says. It's cold. I realize some of your watchers will not be from Florida, and they're going to laugh at us because it's in the 50s, but it's cold for us, okay?
Yeah, I just checked. It's 57 degrees, and we're all just dying here. I mean, I have
We are.
clear.
I know. Yeah, me too. I know. It's really cold. But anyway. But yeah, so definitely maybe when it's a little bit warmer, but not too much. Like maybe January or February, we'll have to do something like that. But I did enjoy it. It was fun. I hope to see you again soon. I'm going to have to come out and I have pictures of all the stuff that I want to copy, so I'm in good shape. So so now we'll have to come out and we'll have to get together on some administrative stuff and all that. So. But it was fun. I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity, and I hope that all your watchers, when they come on down to Florida, come on and visit us. Visit Big Cat one day, and then you can come down and see us because we're right down the road. We're 45 minutes. Yeah, we're not far away at all, and we have a variety, so it'll be a little bit different visit. So come on down. Y'all know, everybody who's not in Florida, you want to come down. It's way warmer here.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate it, and have a great afternoon.
Bye-bye.
All righty.